Alrighty, so still popping, still spluttering, popping out of the carb, popping out of the exhaust. It does seem to like idle up and down when you're, giving it enrichment. So at this point, we need to verify timing. This igniter distributor that I keep talking about just isn't it. It'd be so much easier if I just had points to work with, but we don't. We have this. Just don't like messing with non-stock distributors. But we're gonna pull a plug. We're gonna roll the engine around. Yeah, super rich. We're gonna roll the engine around and see what we can do about finding top dead center. Believe this. I mean, I don't know. There's marks on the flywheel, the torque converter, and I'll show you guys the marks that I find. It's tricky though because you have to use that stupid bar to bar the thing over to try to get there. So I'm gonna do that for 1,000 little clicks in here. And then I'll show you guys the timing marks and we'll confirm top dead center, and then we'll probably rig up a timing light of some kind so that we can rotate our way into, okay, we know we have spark now while we're at top dead center. Then we can mark the distributor and be sure we're firing the spark at true TDC. Then we should be able to adjust some advance into it. I think these things want to run like 10 to 15 or something like that. But it's a good place for us to start. We'll see what we can get. So I'm going to pause it and do the crank around because no one wants to watch that, and then I'll be back. All right, I wound it all the way around. Did all the things. I put a screwdriver in the spark plug hole just to give us a little bit of actual visuals when the thing was at the top. I mean, I can see the pistons right there now at the top. So now we got to find timing marks. Excuse the timing light, which we'll probably need at some point. So down in this hole here is timing marks. I see a bunch, and I think I see a 0. I think I see a 0. Maybe that's a 5. I'm not sure. This is the needle right here that points at it. You guys got a big wire in the way. So that's the needle that points at it. I don't know if I can zoom in there. Oh, I sure can. It doesn't help you really see the markings, though. Let me take the light off. All right, yeah, there's a 0 and there's a 5. So I think we're going to want to time to the 5, but to start with, we're going to want to tag up on that 0, and there's a little line right there, which does, you can't see a thing, which does indicate I'm really close based on my screwdriver trick. So I'm going to wind it so that we are directly on that 0. I just got to go back a hair, it looks like. Not sure if I can show you guys this or not, or if this is video that's worth watching. Let's just crank that back a hair. Let's see. A little bit further forward. Although this is really clunky for you guys. There's just no good way to get in here for this. All right, that appears to be right on the line to me. So let's zoom back out of nonsense land. Okay. So now we know we're at top dead center. The rotor down here is pointing about where it should, 2 o'clock position. Man, Volkswagens are better. I keep saying it. There'd be a mark on the distributor here. This is a Volkswagen. We could line up and know we were nailed. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a test light on this so that, and then we're going to rotate the distributor into it as like simulate the rotation of the engine. And when that light goes off, we should know, okay, that's when it's going to fire. We know we're at top dead center. That ought to give us everything we need as far as static timing. So I'm going to go rig up a timing light, and I'll be right back. All right. So I got my timing light here. I'm going to try to do this. I got to hold the camera. So basically, I mean, the timing light is just what it sounds like. I'm literally just hooking up my timing light. I've got it on the, well, it's on the, because it's positive ground, it's all a little bit wonky, but I'm basically have the test lead on negative. I've got the poker lead will go to positive. And I'm going to go to the output of the coil, or the input of the coil, which this should be the trigger. So then when I rotate the distributor, and I don't know how I'm going to set you guys up to see this. when I rotate if I can get this to stay on here, it'll work. When I rotate the distributor, I should be able to get the light to go on at the same time it would fire. You know what? There should be like a little bit of a... There we go. That may just work. So if I rotate the distributor, the direction that the rotor would be coming into contact... Oh, I got dim. Why is it dim? I don't know. Is it close to going? Let's see what happens if I rotate it all the way. Oh, there it goes. Okay, so this works. So if I just rotate this around till it just comes on right there. I want to get it exact if I can. No, it's just not easy to turn. Right there. Okay. So that should have our timing locked in for static timing. We know we're at top dead center. We verified it with the mark. We verified it with a probe. And we've now verified that the ignition is going to fire right at that moment. So I should be able to make some marks on the distributor. This we know is true TDC. We'll probably need a little bit of advance to run right, but this should be enough to get us started so that we can at least eliminate timing for all the popping and spluttering stuff. So I'm going to pause this and put things back together, remove the timing light, and we'll give it a shot. Alrighty, let's, I've got the advance blocked off. We'll hook the distributor cap back up. We'll fire it up and see if we're still popping and spluttering. Then we can check timing with the timing light at some point and see where we're at. But for now, let's just see if it fires. Badly as ever. So, not there yet. They're still popping out of the exhaust, out of the intake. Probably rich. I'm still thinking it's rich. I think we got timing figured out, but I want to put the timing light on it and see if we're actually hitting on the mark that we created. Just to make sure there's not something else going on with this distributor here. But yeah, that's it for now. I will come back when I set up a timing light and we can check that. Okie dokie. So, slight update. I haven't really done anything. I've just been fooling with timing, like, you know, sliding it back and forth, playing with the carb jet, trying to get that right. Thought we were overheating. We were overheating, but it was a big air bubble right here. So I just opened the cap and dumped about half a gallon of fluid in because it was low. Doesn't seem to be coming out anywhere, but anyway, that's a different problem. I got all these vacuum lines put back on. I can only assume this is something for the transmission, and this is a plug. I'm not sure what the plug was for. Maybe this thing had an EGR on it at some point. But I hooked a vacuum gauge up. I mean, this thing, anybody who's ever worked on an old car, these things are gold. They tell you pretty much everything you need to know about how an engine's running. And it tells us this one's running not well. It's low. So what I think I want to do is I'll fire it up. You guys can see how it's running now just by way of update. And then we got to find, I think there's a vacuum leak somewhere. This surging and the low vacuum pressure there, it just feels like a vacuum leak. But it actually runs pretty good now, I guess. I mean, you guys tell me what you think. I can take the enricher completely off. I don't know how well this comes through. But it's running pretty smooth. As you can see, though, it's not doing great with vacuum. It really, I mean, you can see normal motor is down here in the green. Late timing is that red mark. We're over here, so we're not doing so great there. So let me turn it off so you guys can hear me again. I think what we're going to need to do, I'm just going to give it a tour of exhaust manifold or an intake manifold nuts. I mean, I don't know why they'd be loose. I have no idea, but I'm going to grab some tools and the light, and we'll see about maybe tightening those up, see if there's anything to be seen there. I'd love to find the smoking gun on the leak. I really would. I feel like it's got to be a leak. The compression's too good from the compression test for me to think that we have low vacuum because the engine's just not performing right. The only other thing that is slightly concerning to me is that this has a little bit of a rattle You get on it and you come off. Sometimes there's a rattle that, I don't know, it's my fear range is high that it's a rod knock. Won't really know until we get a little further into this thing and get it running better, and just see what it's like. I mean, it is, to say it's pouring out oil, like I know we've talked about the oil leak, but like we are talking about massive amounts of oil are pouring out of this thing. So we're running out of time to mess with how well it runs before we start to dig into that, because when you can't run it without putting a quart of oil on the ground, it's not so much fun. So I'm going to get some tools to tighten up the manifold, and we'll see where we go from there. So I'm not the optimistic sort, but of these manifold bolts, this guy over here was loose. This one here was just maybe half a turn. This one in here was like 3 turns. It was almost finger tight. This one out here, kind of half a turn. So like, it was loose. Was it loose enough to cause the problem, to cause the fluttering vacuum and the low vacuum? I doubt it, but you know what? We're at the point where we're going to have to stop messing with the engine because it runs enough and it's putting so much oil on the ground that we're going to have to turn our attention to the oil leak. I mean, you can see it's actually running down the hose now. It is a severe leak. I did check the oil. We're not out, but this thing was at the full line, maybe a little over when I got this car. So that's how much oil is going onto the ground. So let's just see if it runs any better, any different, and then we're going to pivot to a new project, which is going to be taking all this stuff apart again so that we can actually mess with the leak. Ooh. I had the heat going. That's a terrible noise. All right. She seems to start pretty good now. Oh, look at our vacuum gauge. Wow. All right. So we're still fluctuating a bit, but woo! Idling down, so you don't like that as much. Alrighty, well, like I said, we are going to move on from engine. It runs enough now that we can identify the oil leak, hopefully. Next video is going to be pulling this off, the generator, to take a look and see just what we're up against here with the oil leak underneath here. Can't see much from the top. I was kind of hoping this oil pipe here would be it, but can't see much from the top. But like, man, we are pouring oil out in the middle of this thing. So we will see. I'll bring you guys back when we kick that project off. But in the meantime, thanks for watching. Will it start 2.0? The answer was yes, it'll start and run terribly, and then finish the video running slightly better, but still not great. So I'm not sure what that means. It is enough to move it around, which is good. But yeah, if you like the video, like it. Subscribe if you want to see more. Definitely got a lot more projects on this thing. I think it's going to be hopefully kind of cool digging into this whole section in here. We're starting to get into that automatic transmission stuff, which is kind of the neat part of this build, I think. But anyway, like, comment, subscribe. Appreciate everybody watching, and I'll see you soon.